UFC 310 just finished up about 12 hours ago because I've been sleeping because it happened at 6 a.m. my time, which is absolutely ridiculous. But we're going to be covering the entire card, which we did make predictions to for the first time. What was it, last week? No, it's not last week. It was like 2 days ago. And these are all the fights going to be covering. It's every single fight in the card. We even managed to sneak in the Clay Guida, Chase Hooper, and the other fight in the bottom right-hand corner. As you notice and see in the top left-hand corner, we have a prediction rate. That's my overall prediction rate, and my current UFC 310 prediction rate, which is at 100% because we haven't done anything yet. So, moving into the first fight in the card. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Lucas Bareski. My prediction was a round 1 KO for Nzechukwu. The official decision was around 1 KO for Nzechukwu, whatever his name is. I can't say his name. I've got my notes on a piece of paper, right? Because I took this very seriously. Round 1, very patient. He got the KO in round 1, but he was so slow. Like, he looked like an out of shape light heavyweight, which is what he is. And the other guy was just a fat, heavyweight. I think he probably will get ranked off this. I mean, Shamil Gaziev got ranked, right? And he's got 2 wins at heavyweight. Nzechukwu got 2 wins at heavyweight. I think he probably also gets ranked off this. It'll probably give him a top 15 opponent, and then he'll end up getting fraud checked by like Derek Lewis at some point in the future. Next up on the card, Chase Hooper versus Clay Guida. I said a round 2 submission for Chase Hooper. Official decision was a round 1 submission for Chase Hooper. He was a 10-1 favorite. Like, who saw this coming? Who saw this? I saw this coming. As you can see, the prediction rate's gone up to 93% overall, still at 100% for UFC 310. But I mean, like, come on, this was the one that could not fail. This is the one that's like, this is the most obvious one on the card. Next up on the card is Michael Chiesa versus Max Griffin. I said round 2 submission. It was a round 3 submission by Chiesa. Round 1 was dominated by Chiesa, more just controlling Griffin. Same round 2, really. Not really much happened. Round 3, it was a rear naked choke. He cinched it in, and then he just decided to choke him out with one arm. I mean, like, he had it locked in, and then he just decided to use one arm for the rest of the bout. No, not for the rest of the bout, for the rest of the choke. I'm trying to find my notes on it. I can't seem to find them, so I'm just going to skip it. Right, moving on to the next fight is Joshua Van versus Cody Durden. I've got my notes on this one, don't you worry. Round 1, I gave to Durden because, well, he shot a takedown, held him against the fence for a long time. Didn't really achieve much. Hit some good shots on the feet, though. Moving into round 2, it was all Joshua Van on the feet. Absolutely butchered the guy. Arguably a 10-8. Round 3, also arguably a 10-8. Joshua Van butchered him. Once again, flyweights putting on insane fights on the prelims. What would you know? And then the main card's just absolutely cack. Brilliant performance by Van. At least we've actually got some sort of prospect at flyweight now. That's young, so that does help. Next up on the card is Weidman Anders. I said Weidman was going to win it. Oh, yeah, by the way, the last one said Van's going to win it. He did win it. I said Weidman's going to win it. This is my first wrong prediction of the entire card. Anders won it by around 2 KO. I mean, realistically, I don't know what the referee's doing, stopping it 9 seconds before the end of the round. I mean, it's not like it was some massive, he just knocked him cold out. It was a ground and pound that lasted for about 3 minutes after Weidman pulled the guillotine like a div. Like, I don't understand. Well, I do understand. He comes from a different generation that, if you pull a guillotine, then you wouldn't just get put on bottom position and not be able to do anything. So, I mean, like, realistic. We'll get to Kron Grace in a little bit, mate, but he's just pulling guillotine and it doesn't really work. Guillotines don't work in high level MMA, and then he just gets pounded by Anders for the entire round. After he knocked him down in the first round, Weidman knocked down Anders in the first round, and then fumbled the finish for about 2 minutes. So round 2 KO was the official decision for Anders. I got it wrong. Look at me. Ha 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 ha. Next on the fixture list is Brian Battle versus Randy Brown. I said KO round 2 for Brian Battle. He instead to hold him against the fence for 3 rounds and have a very boring performance. He did have a decent bit on the mic afterwards. Now, some people calling this a robbery. There are bigger robberies on this card, and we'll get to Garn Volkov in a little bit. But I scored this for Battle. I mean, round 1, Brown won. Not really much happening. Like, he's Battle wasn't even fucking throwing for the first round. We'll get to Nate Landwell in a bit. Round 2, good knees in the clinch from Battle. Round 3, Battle just wanted to win the round a little bit more. Held him against the fence, controlled him, threw a couple knees, maybe some actual like significant strikes in there. I cannot speak today. And I think he won, but realistically, let's be real, it was a shit fight. You know, we're awful compared to some of the rest of the fights on this card. Terrible. Next up in the fight, Evloev Sterling. I said Evloev by decision. Evloev got himself a decision. It was also an Evloev decision. This was a close matchup, but it was Evloev. He did win the fight. And that's strictly because he just did more than Sterling. Sterling was controlling slightly better, but Evloev landed more strikes. I think Aljamain Sterling landed more significant strikes, but Evloev landed more strikes as a whole. He was just more active, and I think that won in the round in my eyes and in the judges' eyes. Unanimous decision. I knew this was coming. Evloev always gets decisions. I mean, this was the lock on the card. This is the one that I thought I didn't even have to think about this. I just knew Evloev's going to win by decision. Right? I didn't even think about it. I just thought Evloev, if he's going to win, I don't think Sterling's going to be able to beat him. I think Evloev's got to win, and if he's going to win, he's going to do it by decision. This is the clear option here. Moving on. Up the card, Vicente Luque versus Garimbo. This is horrible for me because I picked Garimbo to win by decision, and he probably should have won by decision. But I didn't realize that was not counting on Vicente Luque hitting the fastest anaconda in the history of the UFC. Right? He dropped him with a good right hand, could have finished it right there with punches, but decided to cinch up an anaconda and just not even flatline, what like out cold Garimbo with a submission. Pretty good there from Luque. I thought he was finished, but apparently not. Apparently he was all back, but that's the only note I've got it because it was a 52-second fight. So do with that information what you will. Next up on the card, Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith. My prediction was around 2 KO for Dominic Reyes. Official was around 2 KO for Dominic Reyes. Now why are we stopping the fight with 14 seconds left? Right? It's not like Dominic Reyes, it's not like the Weidman one. No, it is exactly like the Weidman one, actually. Reyes was giving him punishment for the entire round. It landed something like 120 significant strikes. Why are we stopping it with 14 seconds left in the round? Anthony Smith obviously had someone die going into this camp, so we're not going to be too heavy on the guy. But, has my prediction rate dropped on that? No. Okay. But, Reyes, round 1 was pretty close, right? Anthony Smith could have won the first round until he just decided to drop his guard and look at Reyes and go, yeah. And he just took about 6 unneeded strikes because he just dropped his hands and decided to fight with ego. That's what happened. Round 2, he jumps onto a single leg early and tries to hold this single leg and get the single leg for, I shit you not, a minute and a half, and while taking big shots from Reyes. And then he kind of just curls up into a ball and does what he always does, try to get 2-on-1 wrist control. While in a ball, TJ Dillashaw just absolutely mocked him for it. This is what he does, this is what he does. He curls up into a ball and just takes punishment, and took punishment for the entire round. 120 significant strikes. And then Mark Goddard stood in with 14 seconds left. That fight could have been stopped a minute earlier, and we wouldn't be complaining. But because he stopped it 14 seconds from the third round, right? 13 seconds from the third round. I know Reyes was 2-0 up, but come on. If you're going to stop the fight, at least stop it within, a decent time left. Don't make him think, oh, you can make it to the third round. Just don't, edge him to the point where you can make it to the third round and then stop the fight, Next up on the card, we are on to the main card, and my buttons aren't working. That's lovely. Nate Landwell versus Do Ho Choi. I had round 2 Nate Landwell winning, and Choi won round 3. This was a disgrace. It wasn't a disgrace. It wasn't. Nate Landwell, once again with the stoppages, right? I know it stopped at about 3.5 minutes, which is better than stopping it at 4 minutes 50. But he was in the crucifix for about a minute and a half, and he could have stopped it at some point. I mean, it wasn't a bad stoppage, but you get what I mean. My prediction was around 2 Nate Landwell KO. Nate Landwell didn't throw a single strike in the first round. He probably threw like 2, and I think he landed 1. Got out grappled in the second. Where's my notes on this? I think what? I'm trying to remember the second round because I didn't really. My internet kept going out throughout like this entire card, so I missed half the main event because I'm an idiot. But round 1, Nate, what does he do? Nate doesn't throw a punch. Round 2, Nate gets the shit kicked out of him, is what I've got on my written down. So, you know, and then round 3 gets under crucifix and then basically just keeps hitting him until a TKO. You know, but Dohu Choi did look very good on the feet, especially in round 1, counter-striking against Nate Landwell. It was a terrible prediction, let's be real. Probably the worst on the entire card. Maybe the worst on the card was probably the Garimbo pick, but we'll move. Bryce Mitchell I had Bryce Mitchell by decision. The official was a round 3 KO for Bryce Mitchell. Now, Bryce Mitchell over Con Gracie. Can we not give Con Gracie any more chances, please? Like, generally, he is now 3-0 in the UFC, I think. Is he 3-0 in the UFC? He's definitely 3-0 in his last 3, right? Or 0-3 in his last 3. Okay? Can we not give him ranked opponents on the main event? He just ruins it. I don't know whose fucking idea this was to put him on the main event. It ruins the card. He was pulling guillotine 3 or 4 times during the fight to get on, not pulling guillotine, pulling guard to get onto bottom position. Pulling guillotine's fine. At least you get a submission locked in, you know? He's pulling guard to get onto bottom position. And big 2024. Gracie trying to be a bottom controller and get what? Over Bryce Mitchell. It's stupid. Bryce Mitchell won the first round because Gracie pulled guard like a moron. Round 2, Gracie pulls guard again 3 times. I've got in brackets cunt because he is. And then nearly armbars Bryce Mitchell. Twice. He got 1 with a triangle, 1 with just a standard armbar. Neither of them work out for him because Bryce Mitchell can easily defend against BJJ. This isn't a BJJ fight. This is an MMA fight. So Bryce Mitchell wins that second round. So it's now 2-0 Bryce Mitchell. Round 3, Con Gracie tries to pull guard again, right? But Bryce Mitchell goes, nah, brother, and slams him on his head and then hits him with a double elbow. Nasty elbows, by the way. Thug nasty elbows. And puts him out cold. Realistically, this is deserved. We need to get these guys out of the sport. At least relegate them to like early prelims on the Apex events. Not on the main card of pay-per-views. People pay to see this. And people pay to see these fights. And we saw the Nate Landwell fight, which is kind of like, it was a mid-fight. And then we saw Bryce Mitchell versus Con Gracie. They're turning off the pay-per-view and they're getting a refund for their $70 they spent on the card. Next up on the card, Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov. I got this wrong. Massive air quotes on that. I said submission round 2 for Volkov. It was a decision to Gane, and I've got in brackets robbery because it was a robbery. Cyril Gane was no means winning that fight. Lost round 2. I had it round 2 Volkov. A lot of people had round 2 Volkovs. Everyone had a round 2 Volkov except for the fucking judges. 2 of the judges, because I don't know how you score round 2 to Gane after Volkov beat the shit out of him and hit him with a spinning back fist. Yes, Gane was hitting good leg kicks, but I know they're significant strikes, but a leg kick is not the same as getting punched in the face. Like, Volkov was hitting leg kicks as well. I'm going to watch this fight back, but I don't see how Cyril Gane wins the fight. It doesn't make any sense to me. Round 3, Volkov just lay on him, did some more damage than him, and it looked like Gane had just given up. Gane thought, right, there's about, a minute left in this round. I'm not going to win this. I'm just going to sit here and try not to get finished. He was trying to clutch onto a Kimura. Maybe they give round 2. No, he didn't even cinch a submission in that round either. I don't know how they give round 2 to Gane. It doesn't make any sense to me. But this is one of the worst decisions I've ever seen live, by the way. I know the Reyes decision was arguably worse, but this is, like, I watched this one live and I thought, this is absolute bullshit. I was standing up, I was shouting the best I could at 3 a.m. in the morning. Make sure not to waken it. You know, like, absolute bullshit decision, complete robbery. Poor Volkov, man. Robbed him of a title shot. And I'm even more pissed because I picked him to win as a plus 300 underdog. Plus 300 underdog. I picked him to win. I thought, yeah, no one else is picking Volkov to win. Volkov's improved massively. He came out there, won the second round, made the first round really close, and won the third round, and he got robbed. You know? Bullshit. Moving up to the card. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Gary. This pissed me off as well. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Ian Gary. I had round 4 KO. It was a decision, like both Shavkat. But, I mean, the first 2 rounds of the fence holding, like, they were fights. It was very high quality, don't get me wrong. But at some point, we gotta crack down on this fence holding problem. They got separated at one point during the fight for the fence holding. And then the fight actually got interesting. You know? But the first round was really just separated between Shavkat hitting the better shots. There was 1 or 2 strikes from either side. From Shavkat that basically won in the first 2 rounds. Round 3, Ian Gary hit very good leg kick, started getting to his groove a little bit. Won that round. Then I think he won the next round, and I had it 2-2. And then, no, hang on. No, Shavkat then won the next round. I had it 3-1. And then going into the 5th round, the fight actually started getting interesting. And Ian Gary almost choked him out. Now, if Ian Gary wasn't vegan, I would say he probably wins that fight. But because he's a little soy boy vegan, I don't think I can even say that on YouTube. Sorry, Ian Gary. He lost because he can't. Like, he didn't have the strength to submit Shavkat, and plus he wasn't quite in the best position. But he was kind of, Ian Gary during this fight was kind of just hanging onto a body triangle to stop Shavkat from advancing rather than trying to get back onto his feet. Which is just, that's like Kron Gracing pulling guard and trying to like do nothing with it, you know? It's nothing like that, but it doesn't really matter. Shavkat gets the win, lost aura completely because he went to a decision, and lost even more aura because he was to Ian Gary. So, nice one, Shavkat Rakhmonov. You're now a point fighter. You're on the same level as Belal Muhammad. And by the way, I think Belal Muhammad schools both of these guys. Moving on to the main event, I missed half the main event. My prediction was a decision to Pantoja. It was actually a submission for Pantoja. Jeez. Round 1, Pantoja, it was a close fight. Asakura hitting, well, it was a close fight while it lasted. Asakura hit a few good flying knees or jumping knees. A few good hits on Pantoja. Pantoja drops him with a good right hand and basically just gets the better out of the striking exchange and then the grappling exchange that follows. We move into round 2. My internet keeps crashing. I can't even view half of the fucking fight, but it doesn't really matter. We go into round 2. I tune back in and he submitted him. Rear naked choke. He didn't really do much. Like, it wasn't really much before that. He got him down pretty easily. Submitted him. And then, well, it was a rear naked choke. Submitted him 2 minutes into the second round. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen. The entire flyweight division's now dead. Complete bullshit. Anyway, that's the end of the video. We had some dodgy decisions on the card. Overall, it wasn't that good of a card, let's be real here. It was pretty poo. Wasn't the level of card that we expected it to be. However, I think the next one, UFC 311, is pretty good, and they also did announce UFC 312 during this fight as well. So I'm pretty hyped for those two. I think UFC 311 is very good. Hopefully it's better than this absolute monstrosity of a card. With high quality fights across the card as well. It's not like it was terrible at UFC 309 either. But we finished the card with a 71% prediction rate. Considering the fact it's my first actual, full card prediction, I think that's pretty good. We're going to keep track of it, and we're going to be predicting full cards from now on. We'll see how we do, you know. Prediction rate of 86% total. I've got to update that on my channel by now, but it doesn't really matter. There it is. UFC 310 finished up. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you thought of the entire card. See you in the next one. Goodbye.